another episode of the Forsyth Mags podcast. And today I have Debbie Lanier, a dear friend and also a pastor at Hope Community Church. Debbie has been, I've known her forever. You've been writing a column for Forsyth Woman for 15 years?
Forever.
Yeah, forever. Literally forever. And I just love her so much. Her smile is contagious. She's the best. Hey, Debbie.
Yeah, Brooke, it's so wonderful to be with you.
Yeah.
I love you guys. I love what you do. I'm honored every month to get to talk. I was going to say to get to talk to your girls, but that's not true.
Well, you did
run into men all the time that read Forsyth Woman all the time.
You know, it's funny. We get the most emails from men about your column specifically. They really love your column.
The women do. It's just mine.
The women do too, but it's funny how men make a point to. We don't get as many emails from men in general, but they like your column too.
I love that men are reading Forsyth Woman.
Yeah,
the whole magazine's got something to say to everybody.
Debbie's column is called "Keeping It Real." And I'm serious. She's been doing it for probably 15 or 16 years. The magazine will be celebrating 20 years next year.
Wow.
So a big milestone.
Yes.
And her column is so impactful, and I'm pretty excited. Kaylin, her daughter, sent me a YouTube link, so we're going to start posting videos of Debbie reading her column, because if you haven't met Debbie, the impact of her voice is just huge. And so this was my mom's idea, but she's like, Debbie, why don't you video reading the words of your column? And so we did that for the first time.
I love doing that. You know, as you know, I've written some books as well, and there's never a greater compliment to me than when someone reads my book and they say, I can hear your voice.
Yeah.
I can hear your passion. It's like you're right there with me. And so I love that.
Yeah. Are you, have you done like audio versions of your books, or do you have plans to do that?
I did not. I did Kindle versions, but I stopped at the audiobooks. But I need to do that because I listen to Audible all the time.
Yeah, I mean, audiobooks are huge right now, and I know I still love to like read, but I know a lot of my friends are big on Audible. Mom's big on Audible, and it makes a huge difference who is reading.
It makes exactly.
So if
always
you're
listen
reading
to the sample because I'm thinking it is all dependent.
So
on who's
you would
reading.
have to do your own books. Like you would have to.
You're
It'd have
so
to be your
sweet.
voice.
You're so sweet. I'm a little passionate about the things I'm passionate about.
Because I do audiobooks. You know what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
Whereas if someone else is reading it, I've had to read other books and don't necessarily understand the angle at which you're coming from. But if you are doing the book and you wrote the book, then you will have a much more convincing delivery.
Oh, yeah.
I agree. When it's your own work and it's your own passion, then you're much more persuasive and winsome with your words.
Right, because you knew what you were trying to say.
Right, and I'm a good old Southern girl, so sometimes Siri doesn't know what I'm trying to say, but...
You know, I think Siri adjusts because my mama, you've met Mama before.
Yes,
Mom's
I adore
mom,
her.
She has the most Southern accent of all time, and man, I love her so much. And I'm like, how in the world does Siri know what you're saying? But she does. Siri understands her. They have a great relationship.
Siri hates me.
That's funny. Mama just kept at it, and Siri somehow understands her.
That's funny.
So, Debbie, I want to talk about your sweet baby girl for a minute, Kaylin. Kaylin has a baby on the way. Your grandbaby.
So exciting. You know, Kaylin writes every once in a while. She'll take my place in Keeping It Real. And she is 33. She just turned 33, and she's having our first grandbaby, and it's a little girl. And we've been waiting, and we're so excited, and it still doesn't feel real. Like,
oh my gosh.
She's got the big belly, and it still doesn't feel real.
When is she due? What month is she due?
September, early September.
Okay. Oh, it's going to be here before we know it.
Yes. It's a little girl.
I cannot wait.
We're so excited. I don't even know what the Mimi life is, but I'm excited to find out.
Is that going to be your name?
That is going to be my name.
Okay, I love it.
Yes.
I love the unique, I've heard so many unique grandparent names.
Yes.
We're getting away from just, grandma and grandpa.
Did I tell you what mine's going to be? If I ever have, my son will be 22 tomorrow, but I hope he's I'm going to be Ogo.
Ogo.
which is short for "Oh Great One."
Ogo.
You've planned this thing out. That's funny.
hilarious. I've heard one of my friends that her mom is Glam Glam, which is cute.
Yes.
Honey, which is also very cute. Gigi, Nana. There's so many. It's adorable.
My sister-in-law passed away at just 47 with cancer, like more than a decade ago, and she lived to be a Mimi. And I told her in her final days, I said, "You're going to keep living through us, and one day when I get to be that, I'm going to be a Mimi. I'm going to still honor you." And my daughter adores her Aunt Kathy. And so it's just a way
That's
to
so
keep
special.
her alive. And so I never thought of all the names as you did. I just kind of had it waiting for me. And it's just a good way to honor her.
I love that. You need to do an article about that. Because
You
that's
know,
special.
one of the very first articles I wrote was about her passing and just dealing with that grief. And she was a sister to me. And I remember it was one of the things that started prompting me to every month just write something down. I speak a lot, but I love to write because
it's different.
It is very different. And just getting your thoughts out in words, it's therapeutic. But Barney on Andy Griffith says it's therapeutic. It's therapeutic.
I love it. So, Debbie, you were telling me before we started recording that you've been doing lots of speaking at other places. Where else have you been speaking?
Yes. I speak at other churches. I speak at our church. But then I speak at a lot of things that have nothing to do with church. And in fact, just last weekend, I spoke like 3 times in 4 days. And all of the times were vastly different.
Wow.
Different venues. And so my mind was reeling a little bit. But truly, no matter where I am and who I'm speaking to, it all funnels into this same theme that I love to help people find their truest identity. If you don't know who you are, you're just wandering around in life, and you were made to do great things. And if you get a sense of really the truest self, who you are, then you'll start moving in that purpose for your life. And a lot of people feel stuck. And life is overwhelming, and it's just easy to get stuck. We get stuck because we focus on things we can't change
Or can't control. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we focus on what we don't have. Social media is just gets in our face and shows us the best version of everyone else, and we compare it to the worst version of us. And so that whole comparison thing, what we don't have, what we feel like everybody else has, if the truth be told and the veil was pulled back in their lives, it wouldn't look so rosy, but we don't really process it that way.
Oh, yeah, so true.
So people feel stuck, and just trying to help them think forward and converse about what's in front of them instead of what's behind them, and then start moving forward, taking action. So, all of it comes from the same place. And my personal, the core of my values is in my faith, but truly, if you listen to anyone these days, I laugh at it sometimes. If you listen to anyone that's, trying to help people think more positively or just to move forward in life and to change their thinking, every method, every principle they use comes from Scripture. It just truly does. I mean, they try to put their spin on it, but it all comes from Scripture. So I just start with the OG. I start with the real deal. And from that place, it helps us find who we are, why we're here, and how to not spend so much time looking at what's behind us, moving toward what's in front of us. God dreams big for us, bigger than we do for ourselves. And a lot of times He wants it for us more than we want it for ourselves. And sometimes we just don't want it as much for ourselves, which is tragic, or we just don't know how to get there. And I love trying to help people get there.
I love that. How long have you been public speaking now?
I probably about 25 years.
Okay.
Speaking,
How did you step into that, and did you, even as a little girl, know that's what you wanted to do?
never knew this is what I wanted to do. In fact, when I was dating my husband and he was in ministry, it just scared me to death. It was the last thing I ever thought I would be doing. I was thinking, oh, I don't know how to do this. I don't think I'm cut out for it. And, I never want to. I just couldn't imagine it. So I almost didn't marry him because of that. It was just this big reservation. And then when I married him and just started moving in ministry without any expectation from anyone, the more I did it, the more I helped people. People matter. Things really don't matter. When you get this age, you realize things really don't. They come and go, but people matter. And so the more I helped people, the more I loved helping people. And so I just kind of organically grew in it. It was like God was just kind of pushing me ever so gently until one day I woke up and realized this is not what I do. It really is who I am. This is who I was made to be.
Your
and
purpose.
If I was working in a McDonald's drive-thru, I would be helping people. I mean, I would be finding a way to speak into people and help them get unstuck and live a better, bigger life than they are. And so it was the last thing I thought I would be doing.
Wow.
And now I can't imagine doing anything else.
I know. It's just such a natural fit for you.
You're so gracious.
Yeah.
Speaking is one thing and writing is another. And some people speak well and it doesn't come as easy in writing. And then some people really write well and it doesn't come as easy in speaking. And so that's why I love it so much when someone reads my writings and they say, I hear your voice, because it's kind of like that merging. And I love that because it's how you connect with people. It's like you're sitting at the table with them and becoming a real friend. They feel like somebody sees them and hears them and that they're known. And from that place, we can move a thing.
Yeah.
We can make some progress.
Remind me when your very first book came out.
The end of 2020.
Okay.
It's the whole reason I wrote it, because people were just really struggling.
I was going to ask what your why was for that
Yes,
first book.
and I just knew, I thought, I don't have time, because really in the shutdown, we stayed crazy busy because our church started giving out food to people in need, and people were losing their jobs and that kind of thing. And so we went day after day. We just stayed really busy while people were at home trying to figure out what to do. We didn't get a break. So when people started going back to work, we were like, can we take a vacation or something? But in that time, I do some counseling too, and I just heard such hopelessness in people and just trying to navigate forward, trying to figure out, who am I now, and what does all of this mean? And so I just felt so pressed that it was time to help put something in people's hands to help them find a way forward. All of us are different since 2020.
Yep.
We came out of that different, and we get to determine what kind of different that is. And I just wanted to help people find a foot forward, and to find faith in it all.
Yeah. I think most
that's where I
people,
started.
I mean, and maybe I'm just an eternal optimist, but I feel like most people have come out of it better in the long run. Like our values have kind of shifted. We value relationships more. We, don't take for granted these in-person events, just like from little stuff to big stuff. It just seems to overall be a good difference in most people.
I agree. I think for the most part, people did. I think there's still, fear got on people so heavy during that time. And faith and fear, it's like trying to watch two channels on the television at the same time. You can't. It's just a lot of static. They can't both coexist. And so I think some people, fear laid heavy on them. And I think some people are still trying to come out from under that. But you're right. It helped us rethink the way we do life, what's important, what's really not. And so from that perspective, I think it can be a healthy thing. I think it was for a lot of people.
Yeah. So I want to go back to where you said faith and fear cannot coexist. And I totally agree. I think that I've heard something similar about anxiety and gratitude. So if you're if you're grateful for, if you're counting your what you're thankful for, it's nearly impossible to be anxious at the same time.
It absolutely is. You're so right. And it's what I was saying just a few moments ago about people feeling stuck because they get so overwhelmed. They're fixated upon what they can't change. That's anxiety. And then what they don't have. But if you'll turn that
Or what hasn't
conversation-
happened yet.
or what hasn't happened yet, and it feels like it's happening for everyone else, and really it's not. It's just our eyes are seeing. We're so aware of what's happening in someone else's life. But truly, each night when I'm laying in my bed, I try to think of, at the very least, 3 very specific things that are different than yesterday and that will be different than tomorrow. And when you live in that place of gratitude, anxiety, it's hard for anxiety to find a home on you.
Yeah, that's a great practice.
The problems that we face, this is the truth. We think we want a better life, and that's wonderful to be moving toward that and always wanting that. But truly, if we were to look 10 or 15 years down the road, we would love to have the life we have.
Oof, yeah.
We would love this. Some of the problems that we think are so big, there's somebody in the world that would think this is the best life ever. Let's switch. And if we saw their life, we would rethink, how we're viewing our struggles. And I often say to myself and I say to others, we've got to get to a place that we stop trying to wait for things to get easier.
Yeah.
They're not going to get easier.
Yeah.
But we can get stronger and we can get better. And so stop waiting for easy. Easy's not coming.
Gosh, that is
It's
so
not
true.
coming.
I tell can apply to everything in life. I tell
Yes.
people that at the gym so often. I'm like, well,
Yes.
it's the same thing. It doesn't get easier. You just get stronger.
That's exactly. You got to use those muscles.
Yeah.
And faith has muscles. Our imagination has muscles. I wrote
Anxiety has muscles.
Anxiety. We're growing that. You're exactly
Yeah.
right, Brooke. I wrote an article just a few months ago about the fact that our brains do only 2 things. Just 2 things. Our brain remembers, our mind remembers, and it imagines. And we spend the vast amount of our time remembering and rehashing yesterday. I read that we have like 75,000 thoughts a day, and 91% of them, get this, 91% of them are remembering previous experiences.
Wow.
9 out of 10 thoughts we have today are actually rehashing, reliving, revisiting something behind us, not imagining what can be before us. And people think, well, I stopped imagining because I got older. No, you
Yeah.
got older because you stopped imagining.
Yeah.
We've
that's
got to
true.
look forward to what's going on.
Oh, that makes me sad, that statistic.
Right. And we think
I have a terrible memory, so my ratio might be a little lower.
that works for your benefit. And it's not that we're ignoring what's behind us. It's just we can't live
There's
there.
no
We
reason to
can't
focus
build
on
a
it.
tent there. Like
Yeah.
you can't change that. You can learn from it. You can grow from it. And then let's go forward.
Yeah, which I want to talk about this for a minute. We talked about emotions that cannot live together or be found at the same time, but 2 emotions that I think are grief and joy. And I
Yes.
think that is something that I would love to hear your perspective on. I think because you've dealt, as we all have, with grief in your life, and I think it's important to know how to navigate that and know that it is okay to experience joy while you're also simultaneously going through grief.
That's a healthy thing. Grieving is so healthy. As a matter of fact, we have so few funerals in our congregation, thankfully so. But last night we had one of a precious lady that had been struggling with dementia for several years. And I'm telling you, it was a celebration. She lived a long, healthy, significant life of faith. She really invested in the things that matter. She was a nurse, but she was a caretaker for everybody and everything. And I just adored her. But when you've lived well and you're pursuing better and you're pursuing what God has for you every day, then in those moments like we had last evening, we were wiping the tears. There was grief that's healthy, and grief is that unexpected guest that kind of just falls on you when you least expect it sometimes. But the joy in knowing she had a life, she lived a life well, and it impacted others, and it lives on beyond her. Invest in the things that are going to outlast you.
Yeah.
To where she was the epitome of joy. We had a picture on the screen. Linda Samuels she was effervescent with joy. She knew the joy of Jesus and she exuded with it. And so we grieve yet we believe heaven is real. And so if we really believe what we say we believe, we can have joy in our grief. we can have hope even in our grief. It's a beautiful combination that walks parallel with you.
Oh, that's beautifully said. I like that. Oh, Debbie, I could talk to you all day long. We got to have you on more often. I cannot believe it's been 4 years since the last time you were on this podcast.
You're the sweetest. Any time with you and Keela goes by.
Yeah. Do you have any plans for another book? I know you just had one come out not too long ago.
I had one come out at the beginning of December of 23, and
What's the name of that one so we can put it in our show notes?
Unshakable. Unshakable. You can find it on Amazon.
Okay. We'll put the link. Amy, if you're listening, she listens to our episodes and writes the show notes. If you'll put the link to Debbie's book, Unshakable, people could go purchase that.
Yes. There's a whole lot of shaking going on, and just trying to help people live unshakable. I truly have, in recent weeks, been thinking about writing about this whole thing of getting unstuck. People feel so stuck, and the longer they stay there, the harder it is to pick up your feet and start moving again.
Yeah, and what do they say? An object in motion stays in motion, an object at rest stays at rest.
Yes, you know this. With the gym,
Inertia.
with your life.
Yep.
And let me just say this before we close. We're talking about remembering and imagining. Your sweet mama, Keela, all those years ago, she imagined a thing. Who was doing this? And she just got out there and thought, I see a need for it. I'm willing to make the investment in this. And so she just paved a path that then you got to come and walk in, and then you took it to a whole other level, Brooke, because you dreamed and imagined beyond her. But you watched your mama do that. Now, Forsyth Woman magazine, it just keeps growing and expanding and touching more people, and you just find new ways to make a difference. And so you said I don't have a good memory. That's a good thing, and I see it on you. You wear imagination well. You just keep dreaming and imagining, what can we do with this? And you just find great ways to do it. And so I'm honored. I'm deeply honored to be a part of this team. Let's keep doing good things.
Oh, yeah. I love that. Thank you. That means so much. Yeah, I was thinking about my mom when you were talking about your why for writing your first book. And I'm like, yeah, Mom, same thing. She saw the need, and she just felt she was busy too, but she just felt like she couldn't not do it.
Yeah.
Even with the LKN magazine, she despite us all being like, oh my gosh, another magazine. She's like, I have to do it. She just felt so called and compelled to do it. And she has brought the community together. She's doing all this work for these great nonprofits down there and helping promote them. Like, she's just in her element. And it's so special to watch that. So.
Yes, she is.
Yeah. Well, Debbie, thank you so much for coming on.
I've loved this. I love you.
We will have you back on soon. I love you too.
Let's do it.
Yes. And you be sure to read Debbie's column, Keeping It Real. It is in Forsyth Woman every month, and we're just going to start also showing videos of her reading her column, which I'm very excited about. And as always, you can find all of our content on our website, forsythmags.com, and on social media at Forsyth Mags. And that is a wrap for today. The views and opinions stated on this podcast are solely those of the contributors and not necessarily those of our distributors or hosting companies. This podcast is copyrighted and cannot be reproduced without expressed written consent of Forsyth Magazines Incorporated. Whew, that's a mouthful.